What, were they psychos or?
They look like psychos? Is that what they looked like? They were vampires. Psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't care how crazy they are.
When From Dusk Till Dawn hit theaters in 1996, audiences thought they were getting a Tarantino-style crime thriller. Slick dialogue, blood, and bad men on the run. Then the bar doors swung open, the music shifted, and suddenly they were in another movie entirely. A full-blown vampire apocalypse drenched in neon and tequila. Directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Quentin Tarantino, it fused two worlds that shouldn't have worked together. A violent heist story colliding headfirst with supernatural horror. The result was a film that broke every rule of structure and tone. A road movie turned nightmare. A crime saga that mutated into chaos. Made for $19 million and earning over $59 million worldwide, it split critics but hypnotized fans. On Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 63% critic score and an audience rating above 75%. Reviewers called it half genius, half lunacy. But fans knew better. It was pure midnight cinema, unhinged and unforgettable. A movie that didn't just blur genres, it devoured them. Fact 1. The script born from a bargain. Before From Dusk Till Dawn was a movie, it was a favor. In the early 1990s, Quentin Tarantino struck a deal with the effects team at KNB EFX Group. He'd write them a script in exchange for free gore effects for Reservoir Dogs' infamous ear-slicing scene. That script became From Dusk Till Dawn, a violent road movie turned vampire massacre that sat on a shelf until Robert Rodriguez decided to direct it. For Tarantino, it wasn't just another screenplay. It was the first time he was paid to write. For KNB, it was a calling card that showed off their wildest creature work yet. The strange fact is that one of the most iconic cult films of the 90s started not with a studio pitch or a big idea, but with a backroom trade between a writer and a group of monster makers.
Welcome to slavery.
No thanks. I already had a wife.
Fact 2. Tarantino's Blood Pact. The film exists because of a barter, not a paycheck. In the early 90s, Quentin Tarantino was an unknown writer trying to fund his first film. That script became From Dusk Till Dawn. This strange origin gives the film its Frankenstein feel, part art project, part payback. A deal born in fake blood birthed a movie drenched in real blood. In Hollywood folklore, it's still one of the weirdest creative trades ever made. Fact 3. The bar that really burned. The Titty Twister wasn't CGI. It was a full-scale bar built on the Calico Dry lake bed outside Los Angeles, designed to look like a mirage in the desert heat. During filming, part of the structure accidentally caught fire, scorching the set and forcing production to halt while crews rebuilt key sections. Production designer Cecilia Montiel and her team worked through the nights to repair it so shooting could continue. The final explosion you see on screen isn't the same fire, but it echoes the real one that nearly shut the movie down.
Because I got 6 little friends, and they can all run faster than you can.
Fact 4. The role Clooney almost didn't get. Before George Clooney became the smooth-talking Seth Gecko, nearly a dozen stars passed. John Travolta, Michael Madsen, Steve Buscemi, Christopher Walken, and Tim Roth all turned it down. Travolta famously chose Pulp Fiction instead, which made him a star, while Clooney took the leftover role and changed his career overnight. Known at the time only as that doctor from ER, Clooney brought unexpected menace and charisma. The irony wasn't lost on Tarantino. A man who saved lives on TV became a cold-blooded killer on film. That twisted casting choice gave From Dusk Till Dawn its pulse, and made Clooney a movie star. Fact 5. Apocalypse Now. At the bar. Rodriguez modeled the Titty Twister on Colonel Kurtz's jungle compound from Apocalypse Now, 1979. He wanted the bar to feel like a descent into hell. Part war zone, part fever dream. Set designer Cecilia Montiel mixed Aztec iconography with neon signs and biker kitsch, creating a space that looked halfway between ancient temple and dive bar. That blend of sacred and sleazy is what makes the film's second half feel so otherworldly. One moment, it's a western. The next, it's a blood baptism nightmare. The result? A set so wild it became a character itself, one that literally burns to the ground by the finale. Fact 6. Salma Hayek's dance had no choreography. That snake rap dance that made movie history? It was entirely unrehearsed and born from real fear. Salma Hayek had a lifelong, paralyzing fear of snakes. When she finally agreed to the role, she faced weeks of anxiety before stepping onto the set surrounded by hundreds of extras, pounding music, and a live 14-foot python draped across her shoulders. Director Robert Rodriguez gave her no plan, no steps, just one line. The music will tell you what to do. What followed was instinct, adrenaline, and raw terror disguised as power. Every move, every stare, every flick of the snake's tongue was real. When the cameras stopped, the set fell silent. Rodriguez whispered, "We got it." That scene wasn't just iconic, it was an actress facing her nightmare and turning it into cinema legend. Fact 7. The green blood trick. There's a reason the vampires in From Dusk Till Dawn bleed green. Director Robert Rodriguez and writer Quentin Tarantino knew that too much red blood would earn an NC-17 rating, a box office killer in the 90s. So they pulled a clever trick. Change the color, change the category. By turning the gore into a yellowish-green slime, the violence became fantasy instead of realistic, satisfying the MPAA without losing the chaos. It's one of the strangest censorship workarounds in movie history. Gallons of blood on screen, yet not a drop of red to be found. Fact 8. Clooney's ad-lib that became iconic. During the chaos, Clooney ad-libbed the line, "No thanks, I already had a wife." Rodriguez thought it was too deadpan to keep, but the studio used it in the trailer, forcing him to leave it in the final cut. That unscripted moment now defines Seth Gecko's cold humor. It was one of Clooney's first film improvisations, and it perfectly captured the character's mix of charm and cruelty. Sometimes the best lines really are accidents. Fact 9. 9 vampires, hundreds of illusions. Look closely during the bar massacre. There were only 9 actors in full vampire makeup. To fill the crowd, the team used mannequins, CGI duplicates, and even cardboard cutouts. Camera tricks, rapid cuts, and flashing lights sold the illusion of a horde. It was a low-budget hack that worked beautifully. The chaos looks massive, but most of it was smoke, mirrors, and clever editing. Rodriguez's trademark style since El Mariachi. Fact 10. Filmed in the desert, fueled by heat and chaos. From Dusk Till Dawn was shot mostly in the scorching California desert, primarily around Lancaster, Los Angeles, and the Calico Dry Lake bed near Yermo, where the full-size Titty Twister bar was built from scratch. Temperatures regularly hit over 110 degrees Fahrenheit, melting makeup, frying film equipment, and sending cast and crew scrambling for shade between takes. Despite the grueling conditions, the film's mix of wild energy and improvisation paid off. It went on to win the Saturn Award for Best Horror Film and became an international cult sensation. What started as a small desert shoot turned into one of the most quoted and rewatched genre films of the 1990s.
Richie, would you do me a favor and eat my pussy for me, please?
Sure.
Fact 11. The script that launched Tarantino's career. Before Reservoir Dogs made him famous, Quentin Tarantino was a struggling video store clerk with a stack of unfinished scripts. From Dusk Till Dawn earned him just a few $1,000s. He began writing it in 1990, reworking it through several drafts while juggling other projects, including early versions of True Romance and Pulp Fiction. One strange twist, Tarantino originally wrote the Ezekiel 25:17 speech for the preacher character Jacob Fuller in this script, years before giving it to Samuel L. Jackson's Jules Winfield in Pulp Fiction. That borrowed sermon became one of the most famous monologues in movie history, a remnant of the wild, blood-soaked vampire film that started Tarantino's career. Fact 12. The non-union uprising. Rodriguez used a non-union crew to save money, a move that almost shut production down. Hollywood unions were furious that a $19 million film skipped official labor rules. Some threatened walkouts, others refused to work with him again. Rodriguez didn't back down. He kept the same small crew ethic he'd used on El Mariachi. The result was chaos, creativity, and a film that feels raw because it was. Fact 13. The look belonged to Guillermo Navarro. Though Robert Rodriguez is known for operating his own camera on most of his films, the cinematographer behind From Dusk Till Dawn was Guillermo Navarro, the same visionary who would later win an Oscar for Pan's Labyrinth. Navarro brought a cinematic balance to the movie's chaos, rich shadows, feverish reds, and the gleam of sweat and neon that made the Titty Twister glow like a trap. Rodriguez still oversaw editing, sound, and music, keeping the movie fast and visceral. But it was Navarro who gave it its gothic sheen. Together, they turned a grindhouse premise into something that looked almost operatic, a blood-soaked fever dream with style to burn. Fact 14. Triple Trouble. Cheech Marin ×3. Cheech Marin didn't just cameo. He played 3 roles: the border guard, the Titty Twister Barker, and the mysterious Carlos at the end. Rodriguez thought it would amuse sharp-eyed viewers who realized it was the same man in disguise. It became one of the movie's inside jokes, and fans still debate which of his characters survived the night. Fact 15. Danny Trejo's sharp streak. Danny Trejo's bartender, Razor Charlie, wasn't just another vampire. He was part of a running joke in his career. Across his collaborations with Robert Rodriguez, Trejo has almost always played characters named after blades. He was Navajas, knives in Spanish, in Desperado, Razor Charlie in From Dusk Till Dawn and its prequel, The Hangman's Daughter, and later, of course, Machete in Spy Kids, Grindhouse, and Machete Kills. Trejo has laughed about the pattern for years, calling himself Hollywood's official blade guy. The name fits. Cool, dangerous, and built for survival. In From Dusk Till Dawn, that edge wasn't just a nickname. It was his whole presence. Sharp, unshakable, and unforgettable. From behind the camera of rebellion to blood-splattered tradition. Next up, more madness, monsters, and movie magic. Fact 16. The newscaster connection. That brief TV newscaster scene? It features Kelly Preston, the late wife of John Travolta. Tarantino cast her after meeting the couple during Pulp Fiction, where Travolta's comeback performance made him a household name again. It's a blink and you'll miss it cameo, but it ties the two films together in a subtle way. A real-world link between Pulp Fiction's cool crime universe and From Dusk Till Dawn's grindhouse nightmare. Tarantino loved those little crossovers. They were his way of building a cinematic family one cameo at a time. Fact 17. A Hammer horror Easter egg. When Sex Machine, Tom Savini, explains how to fight vampires, he quips that he once saw Peter Cushing putting 2 sticks together to make a cross. It's a sly reference to Cushing's legendary role as Van Helsing in the Hammer horror Dracula films alongside Christopher Lee. For horror buffs, that one line was pure gold, a wink from one generation of vampire slayers to another. It's Tarantino and Rodriguez at their best, mixing grindhouse chaos with film nerd reverence. Fact 18. The sheriff who wouldn't stay dead. Texas Ranger Earl McGraw, played by Michael Parks, dies in From Dusk Till Dawn's opening scene, but somehow shows up again years later in Kill Bill Volume 1, Death Proof, and Planet Terror. It's not a continuity mistake. It's part of Tarantino and Rodriguez's connected, realer-than-real universe, where characters cross timelines and genres like ghosts. McGraw's return turned a one-scene death into a cult legend, a lawman too tough or too cinematic to stay buried. Fact 19. The rat monster's baby growl. When Sex Machine mutates into that grotesque rat-vampire hybrid, the growls weren't from an animal. They came from Rodriguez's infant son, Rocket, recording babbling into a mic. Those distorted baby sounds gave the creature an eerie, unnatural edge. Innocence twisted into nightmare. Fact 20. The set that wouldn't die. After filming Wrapped, the burned-out Titty Twister facade stayed in the desert for months. Curious travelers found it half-melted, half-standing, a strange roadside relic. Locals called it the Vampire Bar Ruin. Eventually, it was bulldozed, but fans still trekked to the spot where fantasy literally went up in smoke. From chaos to cult. Next, the aftermath. How audiences, critics, and the cast turned mayhem into legend. Fact 21. From saving lives to taking them. Before From Dusk Till Dawn, Quentin Tarantino directed an episode of ER in 1995, where George Clooney was the show's breakout star. Tarantino loved the irony of turning America's favorite TV doctor into a tattooed bank robber who kills without blinking. He later joked it was fun to have Clooney go from putting people in the ER to sending them there. The gamble worked. The film launched Clooney's movie career and shattered his clean-cut image overnight. Fact 22. Critics couldn't decide what it was. When From Dusk Till Dawn hit theaters, critics didn't know what to make of it. On Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at around 66%, reflecting a sharp divide between those who loved its audacity and those who hated its chaos. Roger Ebert called it a skillful meat and potatoes action extravaganza, but gave it just 2.5 stars, saying the first half was so strong it made the vampire crap that followed feel like a letdown. Others, though, praised exactly that twist, the sudden genre flip that made it unforgettable. Love it or hate it, no one walked out bored. Fact 23. Hidden cameos in the vampire bar. The Titty Twister wasn't just crawling with vampires. It was packed with horror royalty. Makeup legend Greg Nicotero appears as a doomed biker who doesn't make it past last call, while Nightmare on Elm Street icon John Saxon briefly shows up as an FBI agent. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment that quietly links From Dusk Till Dawn to decades of grindhouse and monster movie history. Rodriguez and Tarantino knew exactly what they were doing, turning a bloodbath into a horror hall of fame. Fact 24. The After Hours Cult. When the movie hit VHS, it found its real audience. Fans quoted the Barkers' crude lines, worshipped Hayek's dance, and held midnight screenings with fake blood cocktails. The soundtrack, from Tito and Tarantula to ZZ Top, became its own underground classic, turning the film into both a party and a prayer for misfits. Fact 25. Clooney's breakout and Tarantino's last bite. The film launched George Clooney from TV heartthrob to bankable star, and marked Tarantino's final major on-screen role for 2 years. Both men came out changed. Clooney got Out of Sight, Rodriguez got Desperado 2, and Tarantino never acted that much again. In its chaos, From Dusk Till Dawn reshaped 3 Hollywood careers in one shot of tequila and blood. The bar lights fade, the credits roll, but the legends don't stop there. And now, an interesting and true bonus fact still lingers in the dark. Bonus fact: banned at dawn. When From Dusk Till Dawn hit theaters, not every country was ready for its blood-soaked chaos. In Ireland, the film was outright banned for what censors called irresponsible and totally gratuitous violence. The ban came just months after 2 real-life mass shootings, and authorities feared the film's brutality would inflame public outrage. It took years before the movie was officially cleared for release. By then, it had already become a cult legend, the film so wild it couldn't even cross the border. From Dusk Till Dawn isn't remembered as a perfect film. It's remembered as a fearless one. A crime story that mutates mid-scene, a cast that thrived in chaos, and a director who turned low-budget mayhem into art. Clooney found his edge, Tarantino proved his madness had method, and Hayek became immortal in a single dance. Nearly 30 years later, it still plays like a fever dream you can't shake. Half nightmare, half celebration. The bars burned down, the vampires are gone, but the movie's spirit never closed its doors. If you want more strange and unforgettable movie stories, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss the next deep dive.